Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done one of these. Quick background of who I am. I've been a stylist for 20 years in the fashion industry, kind of moving that towards reselling industry and applying that knowledge that I know. Right now you can find me on the Poshmark app at Her Common Thread, and actually across the social universe, Instagram, www. It's all Her Common Thread. But what I'm here to talk about today is PoshFest. This was actually my second PoshFest. I went last year. It was in Dallas, which is where I'm from, and I was a very kind of a baby Posher. And since it was here in my hometown, I happened to find a ticket like a week before. Somebody couldn't make it, so I took their ticket, and I was interested in hearing more about it. So I just dipped my little toe in, and I thought, you know what, I can do this. I know brands, I know the fashion industry, although that doesn't always matter, knowing brands or not. So don't let that discourage you, because, yeah, I could do a whole other video on that. But what I'm here to talk about today is PoshFest. And I think specifically what I want to talk about is the biggest takeaway that I got that actually I didn't find out until I came back by watching another YouTuber's video. But when I was there, my biggest takeaway was, and this is interesting how it relates to this, was that I need to be more social. I fall into an age bracket where I kind of have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the social game. My husband does work in technology and helping develop apps and stuff like that. So I think maybe I'm a little bit more knowledgeable than maybe some people in my generation. But yeah, I didn't grow up with the phone in my hand taking my picture all the time. So it doesn't always come easy to me. Like I'm just not comfortable taking pictures of myself and videoing myself all of the time. So this is something that I knew that when I got back was something that I definitely wanted to go to. There were several sessions during Poshmark. One of them was like how to tell a story on Instagram, how to create your own YouTube channel. And I'd already started doing that. Unfortunately, my timing wasn't great in my personal life. I started my channel right before the summer let out last year, so kids got out of school. I hadn't really developed a schedule yet that worked well. My husband has gotten another job. We're in the middle of transitioning and moving to a city about 4 hours away, which we're super excited about. But it's left me with watching the kids by myself, getting the house ready to put on the market by myself, selling the house, meeting with plumbers, meeting with all these people, plus trying to find time to source and to list and to take photographs and to prep and all of these things. So one of my takeaways from this was just be yourself and don't worry. Like I always felt like I had everything, lighting had to be perfect. I had to have a full face of makeup on. That's not my life from day to day. Most of the time, I'm in like leggings or sweats or jeans or whatever, just touting my kids around. So I'm not going to spend that much time on that stuff. And honestly, just try to bring good content and just try, to help each other out, because seriously, that's what Poshmark is all about. So, on to what I learned. So one of the things that I took away was that I just need to be more social. I went all alone. I didn't know a single soul. I did not have that experience that you hear a lot of people saying where they're like, they met their best friends and that they feel like they've known people forever. I feel like I met a lot of really great people. I feel like at each individual session or each individual thing, I would connect with people, and people were very nice and very giving and very awesome. But then as soon as that session broke or as soon as that event was over, that was kind of the end. So it's kind of a lonely weekend for me. I also have very high anxiety. I'm an introverted extrovert, so I don't do well in large crowds. So a lot of that is on me, probably. Like, obviously, a lot of it is on me, so that's something I need to get better about doing. So when Manish opened the State of the Union, basically, a lot of it was about being a social app and, spreading the love and all of that. And that is very much what I took away, is that it is very social, like I've been saying like 1,000 times now. When I got back from PoshFest, I kind of wanted to let everything kind of marinate, listen to what other people had to say about what their experiences were and what they thought, and see if I lined up. And could it have been more informative for people who have been on it for more than like 6 months? 100%. But it was still a positive experience. I still took a lot away. I still feel like I'm going to, got a lot to help my business. I need to write a business plan. There was a really great session on that. But I would like to have seen more sessions for people who've been doing this a while and maybe didn't have such the beginners. But I'm not going to come back and say it was a waste of time or anything like that, because it was not a waste of time at all. Do you have to go? No. But I am glad that I went, and I plan on going next year. And I think that Poshmark will probably listen to what people have had to say, because that seems to be, from what I'm hearing from other Poshers and YouTubers and Instagrammers and all that, that seems to be a pretty hot topic, that there needs to be more available for those who've been doing it a little bit longer. So what I'm going to get into is specifically that will be changing everything in how I view it, how I view the app, how I view my business, everything, is what was announced during the hackathon. Now, they had 4 hacks that were announced. One was we were already using. It was the PoshFest app, which they brought to us, which was super helpful and awesome. Another one, which was one that I think I and every other person probably suggested, is that we have private fields that we can see. So, SKU numbers, how much we paid for the item, maybe a comment or something. They'll only be available for us. And then the third thing was, the active sales inventory report. Game changer. Will save me so much time from right now entering each individual thing, because I'm a numbers gal. I like numbers. I kind of a data freak. So I like to know how much I paid for each item, when I inputted it, how long it's been on there, all that kind of stuff. Because the more data you have, the better that you can make your business. And that's what we're trying to do here, right? So, but then the fourth one has been kind of a hot topic, and that is Posh Stories, which I'm sure if you watched anything, you've already heard of this. Basically, it's like the Insta Stories in Instagram. You can tag other people, you can tag your own things, it'll go to other Poshers. If you were at a party and that, you were both wearing something you now have available in your closet, you can tag it all, it'll go straight to their closet, it'll go straight to your listing, which is great. But then there's a lot of people that aren't super excited about that. And so what I've decided to do is kind of break this down into a positive and negative column. And I'll start with the negatives. I always like to get bad news before I get good news, because it helps make me feel better in the end. The negatives is time. That's time. I have 3 kids. I struggle as it is now on Instagram trying to keep up to date. Am I willing to do all that? If I'm only, my profit margin, I try not to make any less. Minimum $10 off of stuff. But like, if I'm going to be making $5 off of something, which does happen every now and then, am I going to want to make a story? Am I going to, that is more time, and I struggle as it is now. And age, is that an age discriminatory type of thing? I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of on that cusp of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I can't imagine that someone who is in their 60s and selling on Poshmark, and I'm generalizing. There may be some of you 60-year-olds out there, so please don't yell at me in the comments. But there may be some out there who love to do it. They're on top of it. I'm sure that, actually, I know that there are. There absolutely are. But as a whole, as I was talking to people at PoshFest, that is what I was getting, was that there's a lot of people who just, that's not their jam. That's not their thing. They don't like technology or doing that all the time, or want to do that all the time. So are we alienating a certain, are these people who possibly might leave the platform? Because as I get into the positives of why we have Posh Stories, they may realize that their sales are not doing as well as other people, and why be on the platform if they're not going to be doing as well, which means, do we also lose a whole generation or whatever of potential buyers? So I don't know, like that is probably the biggest point of contention for me is, are just those two things. Flip side. So I will preface this positive stuff with this. I watched Nicole State, and she had mentioned having a conversation with Adam Crouch, who's the VP of new markets, not senior VP, but VP. And she had mentioned to him about eBay being like a competitor, and he was saying, no, that's not who I'm concerned about. My concern is Instagram. That's who my competitor is. Like mind blown. I mean, mind blowing. Like that is a totally different ballgame. I would have thought eBay, Mercari, Tradesy, but no, they're saying Instagram is their competitors. So that makes more sense that they would bring something like Posh Stories, which means that makes more sense that that's the way that they're moving. They said that they have Instagram numbers because that the average Posher, from what her YouTube said, her channel said, and I will link it, that they have on average, the average user goes in 8 times a day and spends 27 minutes per time that they're in there. And I would probably agree with that. And that's probably how Instagram is. I believe it was 8 times a day in 27 minutes. Maybe it was 27 times a day in 8 minutes. One or the other, either way, Instagram is their competitor. And anyways, so if you think about it that way, as they move towards maybe getting, people to invest or whatever, the one thing that you want to do is show that you are, people are on your app and in your app a lot. And what better way than to get people sharing and putting in Insta stories and checking it all the time? Like that's the direction they're moving. So if that's the case, then yeah, the Posh Stories are going to be huge. So I'm going to go over my positives, and that is that it is the way of the future, guys. Like, far be it for me to stand in the way. My age shouldn't stand in the way. Also, with these Posh Stories, you are going to have higher visibility. Like, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about those who may not want to do it. The algorithm is probably going to favor you because you're going to be in the app more. The sharing also. You're going to be tagging other people, so you're going to be in there more. Also, the one thing that it's providing for us is now to have another experience to offer your buyer. So that's one of the things that a brick and mortar has that online purchasing doesn't really have, and that's that personal part. They can come in and they can purchase something, you can text or chat, but to have a video and even be able to chat back and forth, if that's even going to be an option, I have no idea. But that is now something that you can offer. And there was a numbers portion that they talked about while I was there that I'm actually going to do a different video on. But one of the things that they talked about was, the average of the experience of your customer and what the percentage was of them coming back, like how great of an experience. So that's just another experience that you can provide for that customer who can be like, oh, I remember her. She's that mom who has the 3 kids. I'm going to go back to hers and buy that because I want to support her. Or she's that college student trying to pay off her loans. Look at her going to class every morning. Like, I'm going to go help her do that. So there's that. Also, another thing they talked about in that is that followers are actually important, which I never really placed that much emphasis on. But they gave a number something like if you have higher than 20,000 followers, the percentage of you selling something, which, like I said, I'm going to do a video on that. But only your followers will be able to see your Posh Stories. So then you need to make sure you're getting more followers so that they can now have that experience. So to wrap it all up, I feel like there's probably a lot more positives than negatives to this. The biggest negative is me just getting over myself. And I am not afraid of hard work, but time is money. So that is an issue for me. And just also the age thing does bother me because I am also 1 foot that direction. And you know, I want to make sure that, you know, the people that, honestly, the people who actually have the money to be buying things don't feel left out. But yeah, so that's it. I would love to hear what you think about these, maybe what your takeaways were. I'm definitely going to be upping my social game for sure. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought about this video. Once again, you can find me at Poshmark on Her Common Thread, website Her Common Thread, Instagram Her Common Thread. Ring the bell if you want. Subscribe, all that. Yeah, and I will just catch you next time. Bye.